Hey guys! So, today we are going to talk a little bit about working from scratch as opposed to working with legacy. So let's get into it. Now, today I was charged with a deeply anticipated story. It's a sort of story that can get you a lot of office cred if you do it correctly, and it can raise you onto the mountain of Olympus as a coder god amongst your co-workers if you deliver as expected. What am I talking about? Well, I am charged with improving the front-end build process. Oh my god, yes, it is true. You see, like most companies, we have an absolute horrible JavaScript experience. Who would have thought, right? Because I'm sure that nobody out there on the internet has ever heard that before. I mean, I'm sure that all of your JavaScript projects are crisp and clean and all nice, aren't they? But in some mysterious way, we got to this point where enough is enough. It's actually hilarious because some of my coworkers are this close, and it's sort of joking, but then they're not really joking. You know, they're joking, but they're not really joking. They refuse to work in the front end anymore, simply because the build is so horrible. Now, I have warned, I have encouraged, I have manipulated, and I have pleaded with everybody to start realizing that you can't just keep on adding libraries to the code base. The more stuff you add, the longer the build will take. And now finally we've reached a point where we're going to have a look at it, or rather I'm going to have a look at it. And now I need to share something with you. The dirty secret of fixing front-end legacy. It's very rare that you can actually fix it. Usually by the time you try to fix it, you can only improve it somewhat, but it's already too late. You will never get it as nice as it could have been if you did things right from the beginning. And that's where we are today. Now let me explain why. You see, when you start from scratch, when you start with a greenfield project, that's actually very, very easy for you because you have nothing that weighs you down. You have nothing previous that you have to take into account. And the beauty about that is that you are free to move about as you like. You can do whatever you want. You can add new tools. You can change tools because there are no dependencies on things working in a certain way. It's basically just a big party. And see, I have a conspiracy theory. I think that front-end freelancers and contract people and people of that nature, I think that they have it this way. Like they come into greenfield projects, and they only like to work in greenfield projects because that's the only way they can do whatever they want and not have to deal with the fallout of making the wrong decisions for a long-term project. And then you have the sorry fuckers like myself who are not smart enough to do that. The sort of people who gets to clean up. Yes. What do I mean by clean up? Well, you see, when you have existing code, and especially if that code is ugly, you have a bit of a predicament. So today I started out by thinking, all right, with some experience comes some type of insight into how to do this, right? So here I am, trying my best to, thinking, all right, I know I'm not going to be able to just get exactly what I want. I know I'm not going to be able to just migrate us all over to a nicer experience. So let's try some stuff and see what can work out. And so I do. Because you see, when you have already existing code, especially if it's ugly code, it's usually very complicated. And usually there have been technical decisions made that you cannot change in a feasible amount of time. And to my big... it's not like I didn't expect it. It's not like I didn't see it coming, but I was truly saddened when I realized that all this anticipation and all the stuff that my coworkers want me to do on behalf of them and like fix up this thing, I'm going to be able to do some of it, but I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to be able to fix it in some type of mind-blowing, amazing fashion. So what basically happens is that now I'm in a situation where I have all this mess. You're going to be there too if you have to restructure a front-end code, like not just front-end, just legacy in general. Because you have so much code and so many things that are already depending on things working in the fashion that it is working, you will very quickly find that although in theory you can rewrite the whole thing, that's not something your boss is going to want to hear. My boss is not going to want to hear that. Because if I tell them that I need to rewrite the whole thing, which is what I would have to do in order to make this a truly nice experience, the cost ratio is off. In other words, this is why legacy just keeps on growing, guys. This is why legacy never gets fixed, because if it reaches a certain amount, if it reaches what I call critical mass, if the legacy becomes too big, you will be stuck with it because the cost of fixing it is too high. It will always be too high. It will never be fixed. That's where we are today. All I can do right now is to try to mitigate some of the problems, try to figure out a way to shuffle around the legacy code in such a way that the goal is met. In turn, hopefully I'll make it slightly better, but I can also put us in a situation where I'm actually adding more complexity to the legacy just to make it cater to the current needs. But unfortunately, I'm fucked. There's nothing I can do. Not with the time given to me, and that's the key thing here. If I have enough time, anything can be solved. If you have enough time, anything can be solved. But unfortunately, you don't. It's very rare that you do. So what I want you to take away from this is that when you are making technical decisions or hacking things together, remember that there's a balance to this. Because if you are hacking things too much, at some point you're going to have to deal with the fallout of hacking things together. Or some other sucker is going to have to deal with it. Hopefully it's not you. But that person is going to be limited by the amount of hacking that has been done. If you're doing small things here and there, that's fine. That's something you can rewrite or something. That's usually something you can fix. But if you reach critical mass in a legacy system, you will be stuck with that legacy for the rest of the project because you will never ever be able to fix it. All you will be able to do is to mitigate the problem slightly or shim things in to make the next feature requirement possible. And that's where we are. So, a word of warning, guys. Make sure that you have a good handle on your legacy. There's always legacy in every project, but don't let it become too much. Have a great day.